Hey, my name is Tim Sae Koo, a recovering Type A and aspiring Type B heart-led leader. After selling my first tech startup in Silicon Valley due to personal misalignment in 2018, I am now backpacking around the world for a year with the intentions of healing myself, recharging my battery, and seeking what problem pains my heart to see exist. I'm here to take you on my journey, to stay in touch with you all, and share my learnings to open up new gateways of inspiration and awareness. Hey everybody, greetings from Oaxaca City in Mexico. So after about 2 weeks of insane adventuring and journeying around Costa Rica, decided to kind of lay low this week in Oaxaca and really split my time into 4 main categories this past week. Servicing, resting and recharging, exploring local culture, and mini adventures around Oaxaca. The first part being really around servicing. And what I mean by servicing is that I have started to lean in and start servicing the team at One Heart by leading up their integration program. Now, some of you may or may not know is that integration after a plant medicine ceremony is probably the most important part for healing and transformation. And in this integration program comes with a lot of exercises and workshops and questions to really reflect and journal about. Overall, I'm just super excited to start putting into practice what I've downloaded from these ceremonies and really see for myself first-handedly what transformation and healing can come about from these amazing, amazing sacred modalities. The second part of this past week was really revolved around resting and recharging. So this week really consisted of laying low, resting, sleeping in, getting back into my daily morning practices, and enjoying massages and a temescal. Like I mentioned in my first videos, imagine these as stone adobe huts that have rocks that are heated up and you can pour water and it becomes really a steam bath. But it's really beautiful in that there's a lot of intentions going in that you can really cleanse your mind through a meditation practice beforehand, your body through all the sweat that's coming through from the steam, and your spirit from the rituals and the ceremony and the singing that the shaman provides during the experience. The third part, which I'm super excited to share with you, is really around what Oaxacan culture and local life and city life is all about. Now, I was very excited to come here from what people told me, but I even got more excited when I got to see firsthand with my own eyes what Oaxaca was all about. As I remember landing into the airport and looking around, you can see just mountains surrounding this city and full of nature. And as you looked around the city, you can see tons of houses and buildings, but no higher than, let's say, 2, maybe 3 stories max. So everything's very flat. And the other thing I noticed when I was coming into town was just the vibrant colors painted on all the buildings. So when I was going to go check up with the doctor, we noticed that the doctor was closed from around 2 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. We were a little bit confused and sort of like wondering why, but when asked why, he had mentioned that the local culture closes their offices or businesses from the afternoon time to spend time with their family and rest, and then come back to work around 5 p.m. to around 8 p.m. to finish off their day. And I thought that was just so beautiful how intentional they are to take a chunk of their afternoons to really spend time with themselves and the loved ones to make sure that they're always staying connected, and you can really feel that tight-knit community there. I noticed myself really get excited to take out my camera and photograph the town. And usually I've never done that before, so this was really a new feeling that came about me. And I wanted to share with you what that looked like, because it's just so beautiful to see all these vibrant colors come together in this little quaint town that brings so much peace for everybody. And you can see from these photos and videos that there's a lot of old architecture, and it really has this vintage feel. And even when I was walking around, you can see that everything might look the same from the outside, but it's not until you go into these doors that you open up a whole new world of shops, of local businesses, of art museums, and just talent and art everywhere after you walk into these doors. And one of my favorite parts was to just get surprised when I'm walking around to find little hidden gems of cafes and restaurants. But it's not until you go into these wooden doors that you get surprised with some beautifully decorated cafes and provide you just the most amazing local delicious food. And talking about food, I had my great taste of what Oaxacan food is all about. Oaxaca is special with their food in that they offer these things called moles, tlayudas, and quesillos. And these are sauces. Moles are types of sauces that they provide for their rice dishes with meat. Tlayudas are like tortillas on the outside with a lot of different ingredients on the inside and kind of wrapped together like a sandwich. And then the quesillos are a special type of cheese here where it's kind of like a stringy mozzarella cheese where you can apply it to quesadillas or tlayudas and just enjoy it so much. Now as you walk around the city, you'll start to notice a bunch of different street vendors with either clothing or food. And I couldn't resist because I was just so excited to try out the local food here. So I tried different street vendors. One of the favorites were, corn on the cob. And when I didn't want to eat corn on the cob, they also offer corn in a bowl. And that one I was so excited to, when I went up to a street vendor, I was like, just get me the normal, and I'm so excited to just eat that. And that was my mistake, because I did not know what the normal meant, and the normal meant adding, these little baby red crickets all over the dish. And I wasn't paying attention when I paid for it, so I took the dish and I just started eating it. And I was just touting to my partner that I was just like, man, this is so good. And she couldn't eat it at that time because of her stomach. She started like giving me little faces and then looking at my dish and then having this face of like, is that a bug? That looks like it has legs. Those look like legs. Is that actually a cricket? And I was like, no, that's impossible. They wouldn't add it to this dish. It doesn't make sense. So when I looked into it more, I realized I had been eating a plate mixed with corn, these crickets that I have to say, it tasted pretty good. I just wasn't used to it. And it was just such a big surprise for me that kind of was a body shock that I just kind of like tossed it aside, kind of relaxed and reset my mind knowing that it was all in the mind. On the Friday afternoon this past week, I was very pleasantly surprised by hearing this drumming and festival music going around the streets, and I saw a local wedding happening right in front of me. And it was just so beautiful to see all these colors, people joyous, dancing, laughing, hugging, and it just made me so excited to see that happening in front of me. So the last part of my week was really revolved around mini explorations. One, the Tule tree, which is the widest tree in the world. There's just this huge trunk tree that was said can cover shade for about 300 to 400 people. What was beautiful was that you can see little children running around where they were kind of guides, pointing their flashlight saying that if you see there, you will see this animal. And it was such a little nod of remembering to honor that inner child inside of us. Mitla was the second capital of this Oaxacan region, and it was beautiful to see these ruins where the elite were staying and were buried, and where they were celebrating or hosting ceremonies in this town. And lastly, the most exciting was this place called Hierve el Agua. This is what a lot of people really are excited to see in Oaxaca. And this is one of 2 petrified waterfalls in the world. And what I learned is that there were these minerals and calcium that were spewing out with water for a very long time ago, to the point where it's essentially hardened up into looking like a petrified waterfall. And as you look closely, it looks like a waterfall's coming out, but in actuality it's dried up and it looks like bones in the shape of waterfalls. It's so beautiful to see. And surrounding it was just amazing landscapes to enjoy. And there were pools around it with natural water coming from the earth for everybody to enjoy. So that was my 4-part week. And I wanted to end with one thing, which is as I was recapping my week, I found myself asking if I was doing enough cool things, doing enough things that would make people think I'm cool. And as I got caught in this mindset and thinking, I stopped myself. I want to be as authentic as possible. I don't want to worry if I'm cool enough to be putting out these videos. My pure intention is just to take people who I love and who love me around the world with me because I have had the beautiful opportunity to do so. So moving forward, I'm committing to staying as authentic as possible, surrendering to this beautiful flow of life, and really just listening to what excites my heart to go and chase after, and sharing those stories with you. As simple as that. As we conclude this week's summary, I wanted to ask you a question, which is, do you have any questions for me that will inspire you to travel more? Please leave it in the comments below. I completely invite them, and I'm excited to help answer them for you so that you have the courage and inspiration to do something similar if that's aligned with you. Stay tuned for next week as I head from Oaxaca City down south to this place called San Jose del Pacifico. And as I head down to the beaches of Oaxaca down south, and again, so appreciative and honoring the time that you're sharing continually as you come along with me around my backpacking journeys around the world for this year. Thanks. So as I was editing the video, I felt like something was missing. And as I was pondering through what it could be, I thought of it, which was there's these amazing lessons that I'm gathering as I travel around. At the very least, I wanted to share them here so it could be a reminder for my future self and a possible opportunity for you to use in your day-to-day life outside of traveling as well. So there were 5 key learnings this past week from the travels and adventures I went through. The first one being that it's okay to rest and recharge. I think about if I'm doing enough, if I am adventuring enough, and it sometimes gets to my head, it's completely okay to rest and recharge and not be so worried about doing more and more and more. The second lesson being everything happens for a reason and is perfectly on time. But this lesson could not have been much more of a reminder this past week with the illnesses and sicknesses that my partner and I went through that were completely out of our control. I could have stressed about it and overthought about it so much to figure out what to do, but rather really believing that it's here to happen for a reason, it's happening on time, and the only thing I can really do is ask, what is the lesson to be learned during this situation? The third one is that the world is a huge playground. Rather than trying to figure out where to go by just thinking, what if we can really listen to our heart and understand what is exciting it the most and decide and go from there? The fourth one was having an amazing and beautiful relationship with your clothes. I carry about 39 items of clothing in my 2 backpacks as I traverse the world. But anytime I find something of local clothing, I promise myself to donate an older piece of clothing away. And I found one this week, which was a poncho made by locals here, and I've been wearing it every day since I purchased in the beginning of the week, which is a great sign that I have a strong and great relationship with that article of clothing. And the last and final lesson is that breathing in local culture makes me insanely joyful to partake in. And knowing that I may not come back for some time really makes me appreciate that presence and opportunity that I have to soak it all in, and just having so much more gratitude for that.